Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to be discussing the case of Christina Johansdotter. I know that a lot of people probably have not heard of her, and I do like to cover all types of cases, not just famous ones or more contemporaneous ones. This particular incident took place in Sweden in 1740. So the woman that we're going to discuss is Christina Johansdotter. I just wanted to repeat her name. So the story with Miss Christina, because her last name's kind of hard to pronounce, I'm sorry. She was engaged to a man, and the fiance passed away before the wedding day. And she was very distraught by this and lost all will to live. And she contemplated suicide, but the problem with this was her religion, Christianity, taught her that if you kill yourself, you will be sent to hell because that is a form of murder. However, if you murder someone else, you can repent before you die and you will be sent to heaven regardless of what you did. And that's a really interesting concept because if you can be forgiven for the murder of someone else, you can't be forgiven for the murder of oneself. That's basically what it constitutes. And the reason for that would be because if you've killed yourself, you cannot repent after the fact because you're no longer here. And being that I was raised Catholic, you can't repent before you do something. Like, you can't ask forgiveness before you do something. It has to be after the fact. I'm not saying that this woman was Catholic, but it's a very similar standard. And it's very bizarre to me because I can't really wrap my head around how you could be forgiven for killing someone innocent rather than killing yourself if you were suffering. I know that suicide is a tricky subject. It's very touchy for a lot of people because there are people who have attempted to commit suicide, and then there are people who are affected by the deaths of loved ones or friends who took their own lives. And I'm not justifying it and I'm not bashing it. You know, people do things for a reason. And sometimes people are suffering so much that they just can't take it anymore. And I'm not here to judge that because that's not what this is about. This is about what this woman, Christina, did. So Christina Johansdotter decided that she was going to kill her friend's baby. She knew that she would be hung for this. And beforehand, she also wanted to repent so that way she would be able to ask God's forgiveness and still be sent to heaven so that way she could be with her fiance. Clearly, she was very disturbed. And the story goes that she went to a close friend and said that she had relatives or other friends coming to visit her and she wanted to show them her friend's baby. What's interesting about that is the mother of the child, because the gender isn't specified, was okay with this, and she didn't feel like she had to go with her or, question it further. She just handed over her infant to her friend Christina, who is probably known to be depressed. And I don't know, that kind of didn't sit right with me. But again, this isn't about me, this is about them. So the mother lets her babysit this child for a little while. She says she's going to be back. She just wants to show off the baby to her friends. And then instead of that, she goes outside, takes an axe, and decapitates the child. And the baby didn't stand a chance. So because of this, she knew that she would be forgiven if she asked for forgiveness from God before she was hung. So according to different articles that I've read about this, some people say she was hung and some people say that she was decapitated because the murder of a child would result in decapitation, which is exactly what she did to her victim. And a lot of people, particularly women, were using infanticide as a reason or almost like as a cover-up for suicide because, again, they believed that they would go to hell if they killed themselves. But if they repented for their sins to other people, they could be redeemed and sent to heaven when they died. So a lot of women would do this, and it was causing concern for the Swedish government. And basically, it became such a phenomenon throughout 18th century Sweden that these people would kill babies just so that way they could take themselves out of their own misery. And I thought that was just wild. I don't know. That's just, I mean, I can understand wanting to end your own life, but that was a bit much to read. It was very sad to think about how many people probably suffered because of this. It also became very popular for the relatives of the person that was condemned to start buying these fancy ornate costumes in black and white. And the idea of that was almost like a theatrical air. I guess it was in solidarity to the person that wanted to end their lives. And the government was angry about this because the whole idea of an execution is to make people fear it, not for people to use it as means of suicide. So it became law that you couldn't have these ornate costumes to wear to a condemned person's, whatever it was, if they were being hung, if they were being decapitated at the guillotine. No one was allowed to wear these fancy ornate outfits anymore because they felt that it showed solidarity and sympathy to the person that had committed the crime. And then there was King Gustav II of Sweden, and he had said that he wanted to take away the death penalty for infanticide by women who were suicidal and just simply put them in prison for the rest of their lives to punish them so that way they'd have to live with what they did and they wouldn't have the cop out of execution and therefore dying. So Christina Johansdotter basically had such a cultural impact that her actions and the actions of many other women were taken into account. And to this day, infanticide is probably the worst thing that you could do. Suicide, we're not here to judge because, again, we don't know why people do what they do. You shouldn't take other people out with you, obviously. But I thought that this was an interesting case. And yeah, I guess that's it. There are some other cases I'm looking into, and I guess I will go over them on days that I have the time to do it. I know this isn't a very regular channel, but I try, and I hope everyone enjoys. Okay, bye.